So first of all, you're going to learn about cybersecurity, a little bit of introduction into cybersecurity and what it is and why it's important, right? And you guys are going to be able to learn how to be able to get a job, entry-level position within the U.S. government without a college degree, because there's a notion out there that to work for government you have to be highly educated, you have all these X amount of degrees or qualifications. Not really. There's jobs out there that are actually put in place to kind of entry level, right? So we're going to show you how you could be able to get those jobs.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Salongo Chigundu is my name. Many of you have seen me before, possibly. We are the UNA Technology Forum, and we are very happy that you've joined us this afternoon. The forum, quick history, started 10 years ago, and those of you who are able to join us in Texas, we celebrated 10 years of existence, and what we do, we like to engage in ourselves as a community, build ourselves into technologies practitioners right here in the diaspora, and also perhaps transfer skills back home to Uganda, where we originate from. Much as we practice information technology mostly, but we are a technology forum, so we basically have other interests as well, and we welcome them and accommodate them. And we are very much determined to not only lure many more members of the community into this space, but to also transform ourselves into actually entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, meaning we want to be able to solve some problems. So if you joined us in Texas, you would have discovered we had a founder of a startup, Zofi Cash. So the goal there is to incentivize ourselves to go beyond the fact that many of us are now earning a living in this space. But so we also get lucky that October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we decided, let's get into our community and seek out some cybersecurity practitioners so that they can come to talk to us about these issues. Many of you have seen in the community recently, there have been, unfortunately, some victims of some hacks, where their WhatsApp accounts were taken over by some criminals, some bad actors. Mm-hmm. So we said, okay, it's a really perfect opportunity for us to engage into this conversation and talk to the community about it and disseminate some quick ideas about how to avoid falling victims of such, and at the same time learn about the possibility of making money. Those of you who might be in other fields, healthcare, transport, whatever you engaged in, you can actually become a cybersecurity practitioner if you do a few things. So that's why we invited the founder of InfoSec Village, Mr. Nasar Kasirye himself and his team, to come here and talk to us. I'm going to let him introduce himself, personally a little bit about himself and his team, and then I'll let them go into the conversation. But thank you very much, all of you, for tuning in this evening. I will put Mr. Kasirye first on the screen, and then I'll let him introduce himself, and he can introduce the team as well. And take it away, Nasar.
Thank you, Robert. Can you guys see my screen? I believe you guys are now seeing my screen, the PowerPoint.
Yes.
So again, Robert, thank you for the introduction. And like I was saying, guys, happy Cyber Awareness Month. So what we're going to be doing today, today we're going to be talking your path to starting a cybersecurity career in the U.S. government. And we have an agenda for today. So we're going to start off with our introductions. And then from the introductions, we're going to go into my journey, like where I started from and where I'm at right now. And then we're going to go into why cybersecurity and what cybersecurity is. So we're going to move into opportunities in the government, U.S. government, and then the role the U.S. government plays within cyber. And then we're going to go into the skills and qualifications. So what are those skills that they're looking for and qualifications for you to be able to get a job, right, in the within the cybersecurity industry. And then as of for takeaways after today's presentation, guys, so if you guys can go on mute, that would be great. Thank you. So for takeaways, so what you guys are going to take away from today's presentation, guys. So first of all, you're going to learn about cybersecurity, a little bit of introduction into cybersecurity and what it is and why it's important, right? And you guys are going to be able to learn how to be able to get a job, entry-level position within the U.S. government without a college degree. Because, there's a notion out there that to work for government, you have to be, highly educated. You have all these X amount of, degrees or qualifications. Not really. There's jobs out there that are actually put in place to kind of, more entry level, right? So we're going to show you how you could be able to get those jobs. Okay. And then also what you guys are going to take away from this actual our meeting today is, what cybersecurity is and how can you guys be able to protect your own networks, be it at home or in the workplaces. So if I'm going too fast, guys, feel free to chime in. We're going to keep this conversational, because I want you guys to get it. Because, sometimes what I want to do for people is I want to make it easier for people. I don't want you guys to go through the same hardship that I went through, trying to navigate, the cyber industry, because actually it's not really that hard. People think that, cybersecurity is just, you have to be, like highly, technical. Not really, because, cybersecurity is kind of, it's broad, right? There's a lot of things in cybersecurity, and we're going to be covering that as well. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, please stop me. I'll be more than happy to jump in. So again, I'm the president and CEO of InfoSec Village. So we started InfoSec Village, again, we're going to go into depth when it comes to where we started from and where we're going to be at. But today, I just want to kind of show you, we started off with an academy. And then, actually this month, we made a year within our school. Okay. So within the last couple of months, we've actually grown. Now we are a service provider. We provide cybersecurity solutions for companies and, for businesses and, and again, trainings too, because, again, we were talking with Robert, within the past few weeks as we're going to, we might probably be invited back to see how you guys could, go into business, have your own businesses, providing cybersecurity services. There's a market out there. Okay. Again, you can be that middle person, that advisor where people can come to you and then you're able to give advice on how they could be able to secure their businesses. So there's that whole topic coming up. We'll tell you guys, we'll communicate a date. But just for today, we're going to kind of go into this. So I started off, as, again, president of InfoSec Village. I am certified security practitioner. I have about 4 years of experience, full stack web developer as well. In the past, I've worked for, Novartis, which is a biopharmaceutical company. And I've also worked for the Air Force. And currently, right now, I'm working for BA Systems, which is a big government contractor, defense contractor. So again, there's a force behind this, right? It's not just me. So this is my team. We have Wahab, Asif, and Alan, who's on this call today, and Nathan as well. We also have James. That's the team behind InfoSec Village. These are the guys who are supporting us. These are the guys who are teaching, with PhDs. They actually are the ones who are teaching, that they share the same dream that we have for people. We're trying to get people out there into the workforce with skills that they actually need. Forget about reading books and all that stuff. No, we just focus on skills. If you're going to be working as an IT support analyst, or if you're going to be working as a network engineer, what are those skills that they're looking for? What's going to get you there on the job so you can be able to perform your duties? Okay. And so this is the guys. I'm going to have Alan and Nathan Moyer do a quick intro before we get into it. And then, go ahead, Alan.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Alan Newcomer. Not sure if you can see me, but I am the middle one on the screen, the only guy who probably would say howdy in this call. I am a cybersecurity administrator for my day trade. I've been in the IT environment from both IT support and IT security for about 10 plus years now. I'm starting to lose track. Um, and I am currently working for a private IT company out here in Massachusetts, but I have former experience inside the government with the government system, government school systems, and the Air Force.
Thank you, Alan. Nate?
Hi everyone, my name is Nathan Moyer. I'm currently the VP as well as a cyber instructor here at InfoSec Village. Current role, I've been in IT and cybersecurity for about 6 years now. And I'm currently working as a cyber engineer over at BAE, which is a defense contractor.
With the U.S. government.
Yep.
Thank you, Alan and Nate. So we're going to move right into it. Guys, any questions before we go into it? And again, if you guys have questions, please feel free to use the comment section. We'll have maybe the moderator and some of our people will be able to answer some questions, or you can just keep it at, for the end of the presentation. All right. Like I said, guys, we're going to keep this conversational. You know, I want to make sure that I'm as clear as possible because I wish I had me back in my days when I was looking for career guidance. Because sometimes, you know, I feel like people are left out there just to kind of go out looking for themselves, right? And sometimes people get lost within trucks, right? So I just kind of want to show you how I started and how I ended up being the president of InfoSec Village. So again, this is back in 2019. You know, I had been doing odd jobs for, I don't know, my whole 13 years, right? I was doing overnights, you know, and I remember I started having back issues. And I'm like, you know, how can I, you know, what can I be able to do, right, to change my life around? And, you know, I moved here when I was 11, right? I was 11 when I moved to this country. And as you guys know, back in the day, we didn't really just
Nasar, we lost your audio for a second.
Did we lose Nasar?
Nasar, we lost your audio.
Lost your audio? If you can hear us, we lost your audio. Something happened there.
Okay, I don't know where I stopped.
You're back. You're back.
I don't know where I stopped. Sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yes, you're back.
Affirmative.
So what I was saying is, how long did I drop? Like for a few seconds?
When you were
10
11
seconds.
years old.
Yeah. So I moved to this country when I was 11, right? And so when I moved here, you tend to lose track, right? You know, when you're to high school, of course, you're in high school, your mom was like, you gotta start thinking about college. And then at that time, I was not really into it. I was like, you know what, I'll figure it when I get there, you know. And I remember when I graduated out of high school, I took a gap year. And, you know, that gap year, you know, I ended up, you know, just doing whatever, you know. Sometimes, again, that's where you lose track of time. And, you know, so, you know, of course, by the time I thought about going back to school after high school, it was about 10 years, right? So at that time, I was over like about 20, 25, I guess. And time had gone by. And then I remember going back to college and, you know, they were like, you have to do a entry exam, you know, math and English. And then I walked into that, you know, exam. I remember, you know, them handing me a math paper and I looked at it. I'm like, what am I doing here? You know, I didn't even know what it was. I never really paid attention, right? So I was like, you know what? That's after almost 15 years, right? I walked out of that room. I handed her back the paper. I was like, you know what? This is not for me. I walked away and I got back to doing the odd jobs. And then another 10 years passed. This time around, I was 30, you know, and again, you do paycheck to paycheck, thinking that, you know, at that time you're giving up on life. You're like, you know what? It's whatever. I'll figure it out. But then it just gets more harder. So when I used to do Uber, you know, people would be like, man, why don't you go do this? I remember meeting this guy. I picked him up from the airport. It's like, man, what are you doing? Your government is paying me money to do work you guys can be doing. He was from Belize. You know, he was like, why don't you go into do cybersecurity? And I was already thinking about cybersecurity, but I had not really, you know, wrapped my mind around it, you know? So guess what? I was like, you know what, 2019, you know, I picked up a book. I was like, you know what, let me go back. I went back to community college. And when I graduated out of high school, something I didn't tell you guys is back in the day, they would make it seem like if you go into community college, you're a failure. You know, so kids, you know, they would tend to just drop out and not even go to community college. but it was a starting point, that a lot of people miss out on that. So if you need to work on your math, the community college is where you start working on your math. They'll start you up at a lower class, and then you work your way up. So when I went back to college this time around, I was like, you know what, I'll go do that. So 10 years later, I went back to do my entry-level exam, and they placed me. So I started, and that's why I met Alan Newcomer, who's on this call. We were doing computer sciences, but I had to do English and math first. I could sacrifice time. I was like, you know what, I'll go do it. And then after I did those 2 classes, then I started doing cybersecurity. I got into the computer science program. Okay, I did that for some time, and the next semester, so it's making it to a year now. We got introduced to, like, you know what? They had a meeting. They wrote out emails. They're like, you know what? We have a program that's funded by the state and the U.S. government. They're looking for cybersecurity professionals. At that time, they didn't have people. There were like about 2 million jobs, unfilled positions. So they put out a grant, and that grant was first offered to some people who didn't take it serious, but the money was already dispatched. So they had to go back, and they were like, who else can we bring this money to? Let's go give the chance to people who were already committed in a community college. I remember going to Alan. So I actually recruited Alan into that program. Like, hey man, listen, there's this new program. They're like, we know you guys are already doing this degree program, but you don't have to wait to graduate. Why don't you go do this cybersecurity certificate? Once you do it, we're going to be able to get you guys jobs. I remember going to Alan. I'm like, hey, do you want to do this with me? Because that means we had to, we had to stay after school, because we were doing school classes during the day, and then nighttime we were coming back for this kind of boot camp type of class. We were just studying to pass the exam. And guess what? He bought in. So I recruited a lot of people. They even asked me to go into the Ugandan community. They're like, they don't have to be going to the community college. They can be from out of the community. Just bring them. And some Ugandans, they looked at me like I was crazy. But to cut the long story short, we did that program. And then after we finished the cybersecurity course, they were like, you know what? They were lacking something. They were like, you can't really protect systems that you don't really know about. They're like, how about they do another certificate, which is entry level into IT, that's going to kind of explain the systems to them. What's a computer? What are the different components of a computer? How do you troubleshoot those components? So it was okay. We're like, what? We'll do that class. So we did that class, and unfortunately, that's when the pandemic hit, and that program was canceled. Okay, so when that program was canceled, at that time, those of us who had already passed the security exam, we started doing internships. And that's why I started my internship right here. Okay? I started working at the internship as a cybersecurity analyst, but it was an entry-level position, which it was, first of all, it was not paid. I was only paid for 3 months through the program, the state-funded program. And then after that, I was working for free. But that was something I had to sacrifice to do, At that time, Alan had already joined going into the Air Force. He was working as an IT specialist for the Air Force. Okay? Having worked for this other company, which is called Towerwall, for about a year and a half, I think. And this is just sacrificing, they were eventually able to pay me, but it was not a lot of money. It was more like $20, I think, $19 to $20. Okay? And after that, Alan brought me in. He's like, hey man, if you want to come into the government, there's entry-level positions. They're willing to train you in there because you already have that certificate, that Security Plus, which is required by all government agencies. If you have that certificate, you're able to start working for the government. And we're going to talk about how you can be able to gain that certificate to get into government. So Alan recruited me my first time working. I was working for the Air Force as an IT specialist and security analyst. I was able to get my secret clearance there. And now we're going to get to that part too. How do you get your secret clearance? Because once you have that clearance, it creates a path for you to be able to, to go farther into your career working for the government. Remember, this is without a college degree. I didn't even finish. Again, if I'm to write a book, there's so much I can share. I didn't even get to finish college. Remember, the pandemic hit. I'd already got my certificate. I didn't have to finish my my associate's degree because now these opportunities came up. My internship, and then I'm working for the Air Force, and now I have my secret clearance.
Nasar, I don't want to interrupt you too much, just to make sure people are understanding. When we talk about recruiting, we weren't talking about actually enlisting into the U.S. Air Force. We are actually working as a civilian.
As a civilian,
I just want to make that clarification for everybody. We weren't actually enlisted into the armed forces.
Exactly. Thank you, Alan, for pointing that out. Yeah, you don't have to enlist because I know people are going to be afraid. Oh, I don't want to get. No, you don't. You're working as a private citizen, but for the government. And we're also going to tell you how government started giving out contracts to civilians, because there's now private companies out there that have, oh my God, like extremely smart engineers, but they don't, they work in private. So now governments are creating these different agencies or contractors that they pay to work for them or to get them employees. But anyway, so Alan recruited me into the Air Force. I worked there. I got my secret clearance. I'm going to tell you what the power play is here. So after I had my secret clearance, now I had my path, because with that, you could pretty much work anywhere with that secret clearance. So what I want you guys to write down and search up, when you finish this call, go look up some of these things. Secret clearance. What are the benefits of having a secret clearance? You can work in the White House. You can work anywhere in the government. You can work for the CIA. You can work for the NSA just by having that clearance. It's a deep background check they do on you. Anyone can get it. But again, it has to be sponsored by your employer. Okay? So after working for these guys, okay, again, I'm going to tell you the benefits of working in IT, because in IT, every 6 months, your worth goes up by almost $40,000, believe it or not. Because everywhere that I've worked, to move up, I've gained at least, the least I've gotten was $35,000 pay increase. That was the least that I got. But every 6 months, if you're working somewhere, because you gain those skills, now you update your resume and you start applying. That's what we've been doing. And that's the path that we're going to share with you guys here today. Okay? So after 6 months, I got a job. I got offered a job with Novartis. Because now, these companies, that was after the pandemic, right? That was in 2022. Okay? That's when the pandemic was easing. So now, all these biopharmaceutical companies are now coming up with COVID vaccines. Now they have to contract with the government. So now I have my secret clearance that I'm using. See how I'm using my secret clearance now to leverage for pay. I tell them, hey, listen, you guys want to give me a job? I have my secret clearance and you guys need that. Can you pay me this much? Yes, and I got the job. And I was working for them from 2022 to 2023. And then guess what? After gaining enough experience working for Novartis as a vulnerability manager and application security analyst, I had enough skills for me to go get a job with one of the top government contractors, BAE Systems. You can look it up. It's a big company. They make submarines, they make, fighter jets, technology, all that stuff. They do everything. Okay. So I was able to move into BAE, where now I'm getting better pay. It almost doubled the amount of money I was making from Novartis. Okay. And we have this thing where we call the 6-figure club within InfoSec Village, where we're working with people. We tell people that, cybersecurity is one of the only, professions where your chances of making 6 figures within a short period of years, 2 years, are high. The average pay for college graduates is about $60,000, right, Alan? Anybody? And this is people who have gone to college for 4 years. They've done internships, fellowship programs, all these things, and they're making 60 to 70K. But we have people with no college degrees now working in government, making 6 figures. And that's what we're doing. Our club right now, we only have 4 right now within us. We're looking for more people, more Ugandans. It doesn't have to be Uganda. You can be anybody. And we're going to tell you how you can be able to do that. Okay? And then, of course, InfoSec Village was born. So the way InfoSec Village came up, having gone through taking the same path with these guys, well, how can we be able to do the same thing for our people? Because a lot of people are misinformed when it comes to IT or cybersecurity and what you need to actually get into cybersecurity. So we started up InfoSec Village. It takes a village, right? That's the whole concept. So we provide skills to individuals, like skills that are highly sought within the industry. If you again, starting off as being an IT analyst, like the most basic, what's a computer? What are the different components of a computer? A lot of jobs, all these things that I'm talking here, these companies have IT teams, and those IT teams are there to help, these other engineers or anybody. Can you imagine if you're working at your home or you're working at work, and then your computer is not turning on, your battery is low, your memory is, your computer is very slow. Who do you call? You call your IT teams. And that's one of the most basic things. People call you, say, hey, I have no Wi-Fi. They have to call somebody. They tell you, hey, call IT. Those jobs are there in government, and that's the path that you can actually take to get your first secret clearance that's going to get you a job within Novartis, within the Air Force, having that the secret clearance that you obtained by having a job as an IT analyst, as an entry-level IT analyst. So we started InfoSec Village. You're providing IT skills. What's a computer? What are different components of a computer? How do you troubleshoot those components if they were to have issues? If a user calls you and they say, hey, my password has expired, how do you help them reset that password? Someone says, hey, my Teams or my Zoom is not working. We're using Zoom right now, but do you know how to troubleshoot Zoom? There's people who are getting paid right now to help troubleshoot Zoom. Right now, you just seen what happened to me on the call, right? I couldn't figure out sounds, things were happening. So who do you call? You call IT. The people will help you do that. And people are getting paid $35 entry level just to do that, IT support with no college degree. So we went from having IT support to networking, right? Now that you know how to troubleshoot a network, you know how to troubleshoot common systems. How about if you have a computer that you're supporting that's on the network, it's in the domain, how do you connect those computers on the network? How do you configure a network? How do you troubleshoot a network? Now that you know all those things, networks and IT support and all that, how do you protect the data that's sitting on that network that you've just configured? That's cybersecurity. Those are the three things. It's that simple. Everything else is just jargon, I hope, if you guys have questions, again, feel free to chime in. So now we're moving into what cybersecurity is and why cybersecurity is very important in our everyday life. Now, a little history, guys. Do you know why we're having network issues or cyber threats or hackers, all that stuff? Is because originally, when the network was made, they didn't have cybersecurity. No one ever thought that people could actually use computers to steal data or money. I call it digital money. Because how many times you guys, right now, how many of you have cash on you? If you checked in your pockets, but I guarantee you guys, you have these things right here. All of us, we have credit cards or bank cards or whatever, right? This is what we have. Very few people have paper money. It's all digital money. So back in the day when the internet was created, people didn't really think that someone can actually go online and use that to their advantage to steal data, national secrets. It's happening right now because it was never configured to be secure in the first place. And now the network has multiplied. If you look at this picture above here, this is how this is the internet right here. It's all over. There's interconnections. That's how you make data. You having your phone and the next person having their phone, Alan having their phone, and then Peter, nice to see you. My good friend from Dallas. So it's like Dallas, he's in Dallas, he has his phone, and we're communicating. That's what makes the internet, the communication, the interconnections. Those things are already made. The networks are already configured, but there was no security. So now people got so smart, and now they're using the same internet that was created to now steal. So what we have to do now, we're just patching. And that's why you hear the word patch. Patch your windows. There's new window patches that just came out. Did you patch your computer? We have to patch holes as we go. We cannot go back and reset it. No, it was already done. Had they thought about security back in the day, we would not be having issues that we're having right now. So what is cybersecurity? There's three things, CIA, right here. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If you can grasp these three things, I can tell you by the time you get off this call, you'll be entry-level cybersecurity analyst, a little bit. Because confidentiality, if you understand the three concepts, then you'll be good. So confidentiality means your information is only confidential to you. You're the only person that has access to that information. It's confidential. Integrity. No one else has access to it, and they've not altered that information. Think about a business. Think about a school. Imagine if kids can be able to get into their school systems, into their teachers' computers, and change their grades. Then there's no integrity because that information is being altered. And then availability. That information has to be available to its rightful owner at any time when they need it. Your bank account information should be available to you at any time. You're able to log into your phone and access your bank information and see your balances. Okay? If you guys can grasp that, that's the whole cybersecurity. It's confidential to you, it's not been altered, and it's available at all times. So now think about it. A lot of you guys, you guys have your homes, you leave and go on vacations. You have your kids, you have your money, you have your belongings that stay in your houses. How do you protect those things? How sure are you that when you leave your house to go away at a convention or for a month, that no one's going to break in and steal your things? How sure are you that no one's going to break into your house and harm your family? What are those things that you put into place to help you protect your families? Some people will say, hey, I have doors, I have strong windows, I have locks, I have fences. And then we have alarms, right? If someone tries to break in, an alarm goes off, right? We have motion detectors, crime watch, monitoring, we have police, dogs, all that stuff. Yes, those are great, but I want to break it to you guys. These do not guarantee protection. Someone can break through your door and get away with it, right? What's going to happen if someone walks into you? You have a gun. Yes, you have a gun in your house. But how fast are you? They're going to find you sleeping. How fast are you? How are you going to react? They're going to wake you up and they have a gun pointed at your face. You're not going to be able to get to your gun. So guns, won't protect you either, right? Yes, someone can try to step into your front yard and then your motion detection will go off and the lights will come on. But how's that going to protect you? So there's a system. Apply the same exact logic here and think about security of your company or of your home. So there's a system that's needed. And that system has to be in place for all these things to be able to work. And that system is protection, detection, and response. Someone tried to break into your door, right? That's the protection. They'll break through. But is there detection? And there has to be detection to be able to detect them and then stop them by responding. Now, if I was to ask you guys, which one of these columns is the most important column, right? I mean, we're running out of time. I'm not going to go into that, but a lot of people would say protection is the most important, but it's not really the most important. It's got to be the detection. Because if they break through your locks or they break your windows, what's going to happen once they get in? You want to have a system in place to detect and stop them. Without that system, there's nothing. So same with your companies or your home networks. You have to have a detection technology in place to help detect and respond. Okay. So we all hear about firewalls, right? Encryption and strong passwords. This is what traditional security is right now. But I'll tell you one thing, these things are failing. Hackers are able now to bypass the firewalls, right? You can see a hacker right here. They're able to penetrate and get into your network. Passwords. People are stealing passwords right now. That's not enough. And same with the encryption. Okay? There's a price tag right now for all this right here. And you guys heard about the WhatsApp thing that's happening. A lot of you guys are in WhatsApp groups. So I'm trying to bring this back home, right? All these WhatsApp groups, you guys share links, you share videos. But did you guys know that someone can send you a link on your WhatsApp and you click on it and then they take over your whole phone? They have access to your pictures, they have access to all your messages and your money. A lot of you guys you're already signed into some of the apps. They don't even need to get in there. Okay? So nearly every company right now has malware in it. I remember we had one of our clients contacted us and they were like, hey, man, our computers have been slow. All the servers are slow. What can we do? We've tried everything, but we're still experiencing slow systems. And we did an assessment for their company. And guess what we found out? There were Russians who were hosting pornographic sites on their servers. Now, how many people do you think in the world visit porn sites? All that traffic was being hosted. It's like you having your home and then me hosting a party in your home at your expense. So, Alan, I'm going to invite Alan here to kind of give us, a little bit more about malware and what zombies are.
Yes. So, as we learned that Nasar pointed out very highly, is a lot of these you can be victim of having something on your system without even know about it. I mean, CDW as of today had their own breach. This was in the last 24 hours. CDW, which is a major tech company who do with hardware distribution. Malware by design is anything that is a software designed by somebody with malicious intent, and it is distributed very commonly in a very silent and very quiet manner to hopefully not trip the antivirus systems. And a lot of times they really don't do too much, which when they are able to infect a machine, they turn them into zombies. And what's important about these zombies is they're going to do a whole lot of nothing until the bad actor, the attacker, or the evil person sends out an update. Similar to how your web browsers, your phones, your computers get updates, viruses can get updates too. The malware gets an update that tells them, hey, we're going to attack this website, or we're going to start recording all the information we have on the machines that were infected. And these zombies are added constantly that start causing these trillion-dollar industries. We're seeing with CDW, they got extorted for money as of today. They're out $80 million, adding to the trillion-dollar industry. They're getting so big that these bad actors are actually starting to develop their own businesses. They even have been found to have HR departments inside their own little gang of evil people. It's absurd, but it is happening to this day, and we need to be on top of it.
Mm-hmm. So thank you, Alan. So I remember when the company that I started working as an intern, and I ended up being an account manager there. There was this school. I'm not going to mention the school, but we went to the school, had a presentation, and they were trying to get some endpoint protection. Endpoint protection is like antivirus. And so they ended up not going for it. We're like, hey, you guys really need this. It's going to protect you from ransomware attacks. They're like, nah. So what happened, right? The same week of graduation, so when kids were supposed to be getting all the stuff and already, they got hacked in those ransomware attacks, right? So nobody could be able, it was actually exam week coming up. No one could be able to do the exams. The professors could not access their accounts. Students could not log in. They were all locked out, and they were being asked for $45,000 per endpoint, and they had more than 2,000 endpoints. Now do the math. 45,000 times 2,000. That's how much the hackers were asking for. And guess what? We don't know what really happened. What I do know is the school ended up getting their account back, but I know they paid money. So it's one of those things. I want to show you guys something. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Hey, can you guys see me?
Yes, we can see your screen, your video presentation.
Okay. So as you guys can see, this is a modem. You guys know what this is? This is like a modem, right? So this is what people use. So we all have these in our homes, right? You go Comcast, and then you get, you ask for cable, they give you cable, right? And then that cable has a password and username. Believe it or not, if you guys, I don't know if you guys can be able to see this, but I do have something here. It tells me what my username is. It says username admin, password is password. Now, I guarantee you 80% of all people out there that either have Comcast, it doesn't matter what cable, what internet you have, and they send you a box, how many of you go back in and change your passwords? Now, what me and Alan can do, or anybody that is really good with cyber, I could just come up on your Wi-Fi. I could just come up next to your house, and guess what? I can log in, knowing very well that, hey, chances are high that this person still has the regular password in there, the default password. So you guys, that's homework for you guys. Go check up on your modems and see how you can change that. This is how you get hacked. This is how they steal your money. This is how people get your Wi-Fi. So it's things like this that you guys have to kind of, get acquainted with, because it's going to protect you in the long run, okay? So this is what cybersecurity is supposed to look like. Proper cyber measures. Again, it goes back to the protection, detection, and response that we talked about. Someone tries to break in, you have technology in place to be able to detect them and respond by stopping them. And it goes across the administrative, technical, and physical. So administrative is your employees. You have to train your employees. It's part of them. I'm telling you, you can have the best technology in place at your company or anywhere, or in your homes. But if your employees or your visitors are not well versed in simple security measures, then you're going to end up being exposed for a company, right? When you think about it, if your users are not trained enough to be better data custodians, they're the ones who are going to click on that email that's being sent by the hacker, because all I need is just to send them an email. Hey, Robert, click on this link to get this. And then once they click on that link and they're already on your network, they're done. Your company's done. I can take over the network. If you have a visitor, you guys share your Wi-Fi's at home. How sure are you that people that you're sharing your Wi-Fi with, their phones are not infected? Because if their phones are infected and you let them get your Wi-Fi password, you could get breached. And that's why there's people out there who have a guest network, and then they separate their guest network from their home Wi-Fi. If a guest comes at your house, provide them that guest password, because it's already protected. It's segregated from your home network. There's a boundary between. People don't know that, but that's something that we're going to equip you guys with, since this is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. The technical aspect of it is the technologies that we implement. The antivirus. Yes, you guys have computers. Still get that antivirus in your computers, because that's going to help you protect you from malware, viruses. Because what happens, let me tell you guys how the antivirus works. So antivirus companies, what they do, they go out there, they do their intelligence. As you can see right here, we have the intelligence, the detection, right? So they gather all the known viruses, all the known malwares that are out there, because all those things have signatures that differentiate them. They get all that stuff by collecting intelligence, and then they upload it into their systems. So what happens is, so when you get this antivirus, what it does every week when you do the scans, right, on your home network or in your businesses, it's scanning for those already known malwares or viruses. And once it sees something identical, it gets rid of it. That's how it works. It's already using the intelligence that's already collected. And you know how many viruses are out there since the internet started? There's millions. And these guys have all that stuff. It's like saying, hey, I have a list of all the bad people that are trying to come into my house. Before they can get into my house, I'm going to check who's coming in. Is this person good? No. If they're not good, they cannot come in. If they're good, they're okay. Okay. And in the physical, you have to protect your data centers. People cannot get to your office, because if they get into your office and it's not locked, they're going to go plug into your Wi-Fi, into your computers and steal data. Okay? Nate, do you want to say something about this, or are you?
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that I should mention that which really ties all together are standards and procedures, or SOPs. I develop SOPs for my environment. I know a lot of other companies have SOPs. They're typically called standard procedures, just the standard of how you push out these policies, how you develop these security practices. Because all it takes is one simple misconfiguration. It only takes one slip up for your internet or your information to be exposed. Just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, again, to make it simple, we talked about confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? And then now we're talking about protection, detection, and response. Now, there's technologies out there. Now, you being a cybersecurity analyst or cybersecurity engineer in your everyday work, these are the things you're going to be doing, right? They're going to ask you to go, hey, Robert, go deploy this protection software that we have. There's McAfee, there's McAfee, we have Sophos, there's so many things, CrowdStrike, right? They're going to show you how, all you have to do is just go deploy them. Send it to a computer. Make sure the computer can scan. Detection. Do they have technology to detect people trying to hack into your network, or to detect viruses that have been pushed to your computer, or malware? And what response do you have? There's things that they call disaster recovery plans. That could be a profession right there. And your job is just to plan for disasters. If we were to have a disaster and there's a network shutdown, what's out to go to? Who's that person? Who's the first point of contact? Who you talking to? Who you calling? What plan do you have? Do you have another set of network? Do you have another network that's ready to go to keep your business running? When you guys think about it, cybersecurity is more like it's, impact and likelihood, right? What's the likelihood that you're going to get hit, and what's that impact? Imagine if you guys love your phones. Now, how many days can you take without accessing your Facebook or call your WhatsApp pages or anything, right? What's the likelihood that you're going to get sent a link on WhatsApp that's going to take away the rights to your phone, that's going to look up your phone? How big of an impact is that going to do to you? Some people use their phones for business. Now think about Amazon. Imagine if Amazon gets taken down. How much money are they losing per second? How many people visit Amazon? Now take that and think about you as a business or you as a person. It's the likelihood and impact. That's the risk assessment, right?
Yeah, Nasar, sorry, just to interject real quick as I use the opportunity, because what you're just talking about there is a whole section of this cybersecurity space where people don't even have to be very skilled.
Exactly.
You don't have to be very technical. All you have to know is a person who can think big picture. I think you call that governance, risk, and compliance.
Yes. Actually, Michael, Robert, thank you for bringing that up. So for my job, what I'm doing for my government, for the government, is I'm doing compliance and auditing. We auditing. So in my department, we support software engineers. They use systems. I'm not going to talk about what they do because it's highly classified, but we help support their everyday work. We auditing systems. Now, this is very simple, guys. It's not even as technical. So we have this software that we use. Those softwares, they do auditing. They will tell us, okay, there's nobody who should be logging into your home, into your lab or into your work computer at midnight. We know that people leave work, the latest maybe 6 or 7. We put detection in place to tell us, hey, someone tried to log in, someone tried to print, someone tried to extract data, someone tried to plug in their flash drive. That's all I have to do. It takes me 2 days to do my work, and the rest of the week I'm free. How many systems am I supporting? And I'm paid almost $85 an hour just to do auditing. Imagine if you had to do that for work. You'd audit, and if you find that someone tried to log in, sometimes the scripts that are running in the background, the services that are running, when I do my audit, I see that, hey, this program tried to open. So I'll go to the scientist or I'll go to the software engineer and ask them, hey, it shows that you're using this computer and this computer to try to run this program. Are you sure? Were you that person? Now I'm doing auditing. We're trying to make sure there's no one else who's hacked into our systems, to steal data. That's compliance and auditing, guys. It's not technical, and they train you. And we're going to be going to that part. So thank you, Robert, for bringing that up. We're going to show you guys how you can get there. Auditing systems, and they're paying entry-level jobs right now. Alan's going to show you. It's right now for the type of work that I do. For those who are just starting out, it's $105,000. $105,000. Just auditing. You go find out, hey, did you log into? People are not supposed to be printing because people can print out highly classified information and they take it. So my work is to make sure no one is printing that are not supposed to be printing. If someone is trying to burn information off a computer, they have to tell me, I have to issue them a CD that they have to use to burn that information. And I have to account for it. After they use that CD, they gotta have to bring it back. They tell me if I'm going into stuff that I'm not supposed to be talking about. But it's just, I'm just giving you guys, a little bit of, just to see what you need to do for the job. And other stuff you have to do as a security engineer is just endpoints communicating. So we have what they call agents, and those agents are put onto computers so they could be able to report back things that are happening. Now, if those agents are not running, that means there's no reports that are coming in that are being generated. And all you have to do is just go into a computer and start the service. And I'm paid crazy money just to do that. There's nothing technical about what I'm doing. So you guys can do that. It's not that hard. Okay? So now, how can we stop the leakage? How can we stop people from, employees that we hire, from clicking on things? How can you create a company culture that people know what cybersecurity is and how important it is to our business? So I'm going to have Nate maybe give us a little bit of insight on this.
Yeah, thanks, Nazar. So I guess sort of creating a cybersecurity mindset within your company is more of transition from your boss continuously tapping your shoulder to having your employees or your bosses make it a habit. and really showing them the importance of cybersecurity and why it's so easy for hackers to get into your system. I know that within our environment, we do multiple tests. We throw USB sticks all over the floor because USBs can introduce malware into your computer systems. We send out phishing emails. Phishing emails are incredibly easy and malicious way for hackers to be able to get into your system just with one click of a button. So we introduce these trainings, we introduce these tests in order for employees to sort of get in the habit of maybe locking their screen when they walk away from it, or maybe, I don't know, stop leaving random pieces of paper, credentials, all that stuff on their desk, because it really matters. Because all it takes, like I said before, is one simple slip up, and your whole system's toast. I remember when I went, I'm not gonna say which company or site, but I went to a site, and one of the things is someone left a piece of paper on their desk. It was a script. And within the script, they had administrative credentials, and I was able to use that script to gain access, privileged access to their systems. It's really that easy for someone to hack into your system if your employees aren't in the habit of keeping their system secure.
Thank you, Nate. So, and again, he just told you part of our jobs. Actually, I just brought up someone on a violation. They left the computer screen, because every time you walk away from your desk, you're supposed to either shut your screen, or sign out. But they left their credentials there. I mean, they were logged into the computer, meaning that anybody can log into that, can get into their computer and access information they're not supposed to be accessing. Now, me as an auditor or as a compliance person, I pick up on things like that, right? Okay. So again, creating that security mindset. People know.
Bring in one more thing. So there's like firewalls, and obviously you have if someone's privileged, they have permission to edit firewalls, they have permission to turn off DLP, they have permission to turn off endpoint protection, all that stuff. Imagine if an administrator just walked away from their desk. Imagine how much damage someone could cause because they have the power to do anything. They're essentially God. So I really want to emphasize that point. That's really easy for someone just to hack into your system just by 3 clicks of a button. It's that simple. And it doesn't matter how many protections you have placed if your employees aren't trained.
Thank you, Nate. And just before we move on from this, he talked about DLP, right? So what DLP is data leakage prevention. Now, all of you guys have computers, of course, right? And those computers have USB ports. And on those USB ports, anybody, I guarantee, probably everybody on this call, you guys don't have your USBs protected, your USB ports protected. You could go into your settings and stop people from, anybody can come in and plug their USB into your computer and either introduce malware on your computer or steal your data. Part of our job is to make sure that, like our weekly audits, we make sure that no one plugged in. And if anyone try to plug in a USB port that's not supposed to be doing it, we get notified. And guess what? We go visit that person just to make sure that they not try to steal stuff. Of course, they're not going to steal anything because there's a policy that stops them from taking data off that computer. Okay. So in this next slide, now that we know what cyber is and how can we be better data custodians, how can we protect our systems, we're going to walk into our next phase of how the different roles that the U.S. government plays throughout cybersecurity. And I'm going to have Alan talk about that. Thanks, Alan.
All right. Thank you. So the U.S. government, as we all know, is very security conscious. They don't want anybody looking at the military stuff, especially of our foreign nations. And this has started to spill over into the public sector and the private sector. As the U.S. government really wants to keep their stuff secure, they realize it does them no good to keep their military bases all nice and pretty and then nothing else. Because if your banks are getting breached left, right, it doesn't do the military any good. So what they have done is they have made a lot of the practices that they do inside the military and the government to make sure they're secure, and they make it public and transparent. So a lot of us can follow in a very similar footstep. They provide services to different departments. If you are in the public sphere, like in the water or transportation sector, they offer some services there. But for everyone else, they provide things like alerts. Whenever there's a vulnerability or a problem or a nation or a IP address or something that's causing the US government to have some concerns, they'll share it, and you can take that information and implement it into your own systems by blocking IP addresses or fixing otherwise unknown patches to yourself. They offer these. They also offer some free tools that allow you to check your systems just to make sure you're meeting the same standard that they meet. And they all package these inside of guides that can be found either with the cybersecurity infrastructure team, the CISA, or the National Institute of Standards Technology, nicknamed NIST. They offer guidelines, which are little books. They're boring, but they will label everything that you need to meet the same requirements that the U.S. government does. And if you can meet the same requirement that the U.S. government does, it's a wonderful standard to be by, as they are very security conscious.
Thank you, Alan. So again, guys, just to kind of recap what Alan just said, no, the U.S. government has standards and guidelines, and they set their own rules. Okay, these are the policies. These are the controls that you have to have in place. This is what you need. Now, private companies are now adopting, because if anything that the government, deploys, trust me, it's got to be good. So some of the policies are, hey, someone cannot use the same password, more than, they cannot, because sometimes you're prompted to reset your password or to change your password. You cannot use the same old password. It has to be this X amount of length, for strength, right? When employees leave, you're supposed to disable their accounts. How many days you have to do that? There's many different standards that they've set, and the different like account controls, right? Like, we talk about separation of duty, whereby someone in the finance office, or someone who's working, in security has no access to finance office, folders or share folders, because there's money involved, right? There's different standards for, like, there's HIPAA, right? Whereby any business that's sharing, patient data is supposed to follow by these guidelines, right? So the U.S. government sets its own that we're supposed to follow. Now, it's the same thing that we are implementing in government right now, okay? So those things, if you get to know those things, guys, you could go far, okay? We're not going into why should you work for the U.S. government. Of course, imagine you're working for the national security, right? There's a lot of benefits that comes with that. There's, of course, high pay, and I think you might be better suited to go into this. Do you want to jump in here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah. So why you should work for the U.S. government? Why it's beneficial for you? First, high pay. If you go in the right field, of course, they can offer. It's easy to get into six figures. A little example of it is myself. I've been in IT 5-6 years. I'm 22. I'm making about 120. So just no example.
And by the way, guys, he didn't even have to finish. So a quick background. I met Nate, and when we were working for the Air Force, and this is one of the smartest kids I've ever met. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing here, man? He was writing scripts. He was doing all these things. I'm like, dude, you could be highly, paid for the skills that you're doing. And how long were you at Hanscom, Nate, before you moved from there? Is it 6 months? Did you make 6 months?
I think about 8 months, 8 to 10 months. Yeah.
8 to 10 months. Yeah. And he was just doing IT, and it didn't take him that long to get into cyber. And now he's like literally flourishing, so go ahead, Nate. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Yeah. It gives you a high introduction to industry standard tools, especially in my role in security. I help develop things that analysts use to help detect threats, attacks. I work with Splunk, which is an industry standard. I work with Trellix, which is an industry standard, and they provide lots of training for me to become highly skilled in these different areas, where I can easily go out in the real world. I can do it in the government. These are employable anywhere in a sense. You also have opportunity to travel. There's lots of contracts overseas. I know a couple people that went to Korea. I know a couple people that went to Japan for travel. So if that's your thing, if you like to explore the world for free and get paid for it, that's a pretty good gig.
Can I jump in there before you move on from that? We actually just had from our site. Sorry. So what I was saying is, from our site,
Kind of lost you.
Nazar, we lost your audio. Negative. There you go. Try again.
so what I was saying is, we just had a whole bunch of, like part of our team asked to go to Qatar, and they're going to be working out in Qatar for 6 months, and they're being added an extra 40,000 hardship fee, just $40,000. Imagine $45,000, and it's anybody that wants, they're sending him out there for 6 months a project, $40,000 hardship fee. So if you want to travel, government is it. People are always going different sites, working on different projects. I have a friend of mine that actually, I don't know if he's back yet. He was on the Alan. You remember that guy that we were working with, who ended up in South Africa on the aircraft carrier?
His name's escaping me right now, but I think we should just.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he got an opportunity to go work on a ship that just traveled the world. And if you have families, it might be harder. But people that don't have families, that could be an opportunity for you to save up more money. Every food is provided. You're just saving up all your money that you're making. So yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, thanks. And also, just these two kind of go hand in hand, but stable career path. You have a clear path on what you want to go to. Also, very, very good job security. You work for the government. You're backed by the U.S. dollar, backed by Uncle Sam. So you have very, very good job security. And just benefits and perks. Benefits, you have good health insurance. I get really good health insurance. I have a very awesome, good work-life balance. I rarely work over 40 hours unless there's some kind of emergency. But yeah, gives me a lot of time to stress relief, friends, or to even study for other cybersecurity certs, so I can just move up the ladder.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what is needed? So required skills, guys. Like we already talked about this. So again, this is the blueprint, right? Before you can work for the U.S. government, you need what they call the Security Plus certificate. If you have this, it makes everything else easy. Okay? You can literally get an entry-level position where you're going to get trained on the job, because the Security Plus certification is required. It's one of the requirements, because if you do that, you pretty much already know the basics of cybersecurity, and they will train you, right? You have to be coachable and willing to learn. You got to be team-oriented. You got to be willing to work within a team. An issue, something that always comes up in interviews, they're going to ask you this in your interview, and you have to be careful. They'll give you a scenario. They're like, would you rather work within a team, or do you better work by yourself? Do you think you do better when you work by yourself? And trust me, anybody that says that, yeah, I'm better working by myself, you don't get the job. And that's a trick question. They ask everybody that. You got to show that you are able to work within a team, because a lot of these projects that we're working on are within a team. So how are you going to work by yourself when the work that you're doing requires for you to communicate with your team? You're going to have good communication skills. And the last thing is the skills. You need to have on-demand skills that's needed. Like, again, if you have a little bit of the RMF, we talked about the risk management framework, right? How do you analyze systems? The basics, again, what tools do you know how to use? Now, that's where we come in with InfoSec Village. We give you the skills that you need to be able to perform these duties on the job. Like, how do you scan systems? If you're working as an IT support analyst, what are you doing to troubleshoot systems? Sometimes you're doing it from home. You're working, people will call in. They're like, hey, I'm having issues. I cannot log into my computer. There's no Wi-Fi. And trust me, half of the time people who are having internet issues is either they're not connected to the right Wi-Fi, or the cable is not connected, the internet cable. People have dogs, or people trip over wires. And half of the times you're like, hey, could you go to the wall and make sure that our computer is connected? Your network cable is connected. And half of the time it's loose. So we're giving you those skills. What are those questions that you're asking the user that you're supporting? Okay? So if you have those skills, again, it makes your chances of getting in government a lot more higher. Education pathways. I feel like we've already covered this, but again, you can either go through college or do certifications. What I do know is we have right now people that are registered or taking classes with us who have graduated with college degrees. And half of the times they go into interviews, they're being beat by people who have certificates because those people know the latest technologies. They have the latest trends, because that's what cybersecurity is. It's the, every day there's new stuff that is introduced and you're continuously learning. College syllabuses, sometimes it takes them years to update them. But you can still go through college, yes, but it's going to take you longer because you have to do 4 years. People are doing months and being able to secure jobs. Okay? Or you could do the certificates. Do a cert, have a few home labs, and that's very important. There's lots of videos, there's lots of resources on YouTube. I'm telling you guys, you can literally go to YouTube and teach yourself how to do things. Do labs, practice. Make sure you install virtual machines on your computers. They're free. Go in there. Do practice labs. Do as you go. Make sure you have two monitors. On one monitor, you're playing the video of YouTube. On the other monitor, you have your virtual machine and you're practicing. I remember me and Alan, when we were in school, this is what we did. And this is what got into jobs. Just practicing and just having a little bit of a knowledge. Yes, you can get in with, for entry-level positions and they're going to train you on the job, but you have to have a little bit of knowledge and skill. And that's what it takes. And once you get that done, guys, everything else is just a breeze. I'm telling you. Okay? So, Nate, do you want to talk about the clearances? So before Nate gets into this, guys, again, this is the path. I keep saying this, right? You start off as an IT support analyst, because that's what's going to get you that secret clearance. Because it has to be sponsored. You can't just go and say apply for it. No, it has to be sponsored by either the government or a government agency. You get it. Work there for some time, and I start advancing. Right? No. Get a new skill, get a new certificate, and work your way up. Because once you have that clearance and you also have your Security Plus certificate, you right there by the door, you're knocking and they're going to answer. It's the same path that we took. And once you have the secret clearance, you're commanding now. When recruiters reach out to you, you're giving out your prices. You're like, hey, I'm not talking to you unless you give me $100,000. They want you. You know why? Because it costs them a lot of money for an agency or for the government to issue a clearance. And other people are not willing. Other companies would rather go for people that are already cleared. So this is where you come in. You say, hey, I already have mine. You're not going to have to spend money on getting me a clearance. I already have one. And I have my Security Plus certificate. Now you're negotiating. Right? So now you're moving from being just an IT support analyst to now going into your entry-level cybersecurity gig. Right? You get in there. Now you're looking at your top secret. So now us who came in with our secret clearances, now they're giving us the top secret clearances because of the amount of data that you're accessing and the classification of it. And after you get your top secret, I'm telling you, you're commanding $230,000 or more. Go look it up right now. Top secret clearance or your secret clearances. If you have that, you're golden. The prices that we have right here, these are entry level. Top secret, 130K.
How much are you?
What was that?
All right.
I think someone, yeah, we're gonna have, if you can go on mute, please. Thank you.
Please just text the chat if you have a question.
Yeah, if you have a question, you can text the chat, So like I'm telling you guys, you start out, go get the skill. Go to a boot camp, go to anybody that's willing to give you those skills, get it. And then you start applying for entry-level IT support positions in government. They're there. There's so many of them. It might not be a lot of money. They might start you off at $30 an hour, but it's worth it. Even if it's 25, go get that 25 because now you're looking at the bigger picture. You're looking to get that secret clearance. Usually it might take you it took me 3 months to get my clearance. After I got it, guess what? I was ready. Now, recruiters were calling me and begging me in Virginia, Washington, D.C., any government, they're looking for you because you're already cleared. It's no longer their responsibility. Okay? So you have that cert. You have your clearance and you're ready to go. Okay? So Nate, do you want to go into the other qualifications and background checks?
Yeah. Thanks, Nazar. I just want to add something real quick to what he said. Kind of what he mentioned in that companies would rather take someone that's cleared. That's cleared rather than someone that's.
No, keep talking, Nate. Yeah.
Nazar.
Keep talking.
Okay. I'd rather take someone that's clear than not clear. The reason being is because of secret. I think I got my numbers right. It's about 50. Top secret is about 100 grand. That's what I've heard. I'm not sure if it's changed since then. But obviously, I think that's what kind of Nazar was referring to earlier. If you are able to be coachable and you're a very likable person, you're a team person, and you have a clearance, they'll much rather take you over someone that maybe already has a skill, already has a bunch of knowledge that might not be as coachable or might not be as trainable. Obviously, having a clearance or getting a clearance has some requirements. They're not that complex. You just have to go through a drug screening. It's a pre-employee requirement. So let's say you apply to a job for a clearance that's cleared, you'll get drug screened. After you pass the drug screen, then they'll put you in for a clearance. Besides that, just good conduct. Just make sure they typically look at your social media. So make sure your social media is clean, and just at least no run-ins with the law enforcement, not any trouble with the law, and just overall just being a good citizen. That's all that you require. And besides that, obviously, once they start interviewing you, or once you interview with the agent, typically it's FBI, just make sure you tell the truth. Just be truthful. They're more about you being truthful to them and upfront to them. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks. And again, guys, so what this clearance is, what they're doing is it's just like an extensive background check. People would scare you and say, hey, yeah, they're looking at your debt or they're looking at this, but I was able to get mine. I have student debt, as long as you don't have foreign contacts that are questionable, as long as you're not talking to any terrorists, as long as you're not planning on overthrowing the government, I think you should be pretty much good to go. They understand people go through hardships in life, and as long as you are, truthful on that application. Now that application took me about a week. I don't know how long yours took, but mine took me about a week to get through my application. They asked for everything, literally for friends, contacts of friends, this and that. And if you don't know, it's okay. You can just tell them I don't know, right? And, but once you have it, that's something that you have with you that, that's going to bring you places. And I just want to let you know that a lot of people don't know this in our community. Anybody can get this. I want you guys to look these things up and, give it an opportunity and, go do these jobs. It doesn't matter where you live. The company that I work for literally is in every, in maybe I'll say 10 states. But there's other companies, there's other agencies. There's so many.
The company you work for is technically English. It's in Britain. That's where it's founded.
Yeah, but
it's in almost every major country.
Yeah, and this gives you anybody an opportunity, and they're looking for people to help support the scientists or the engineers or the software developers. Again, just to audit systems. Auditing systems. Was this system turned off? Who turned it on? Did it turn off at off hours? Who turned it on? Did someone try to print from this computer? And you're just writing, and it's going to take you 2 days every week to do the auditing, and then you can do whatever else you want. Okay. So I just want to make sure that you guys don't, have any miscommunication, about whether, anybody can be able to do this job. Anybody can do it. It's that simple. So we're going to go into, Alan, you want to drive this?
Yes, I can. So going off of this, you're absolutely correct. Anybody can do this as long as you meet the fairly light requirements of what was mentioned before. And there's three major ways that you can work for the U.S. government. The first one's not really applicable, which is actually enlisting for the U.S. military in some form or fashion. And we're going to avoid that for this case. The second two ways is for the person to talk about clearance, it's called a secret clearance or a top secret, depending on the level. But for the major ones, it's actually working for the U.S. government via the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, who does a lot with security, or Department of Energy, which actually does a lot for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They love their little programs. And you can work directly for them, and you can go to their respective websites, dhs.gov, dod.gov, doe.gov, or I think it's energy.gov for Department of Energy. And you can work directly for Uncle Sam. Your paycheck will be signed by Uncle Sam. That's a much harder way to get into because they have much more rigorous standards. What a more common way is, if you can go to the next slide, is you can go through what's called contractors. So these contractors are companies like Lockheed Martin, BAE, Raytheon, Boeing, and there's a plethora of a bunch of other ones out there that you don't know the names of, but you can find them easily. And what they'll do is they'll sponsor you for working for the government. So you won't directly work at the U.S. government, but you'll work for these companies who they get their money from the U.S. government. You'll work on a military basis with the U.S. government. You'll be working with them to some capacity. But you're technically a third party or a contractor, and they pay all the same. They need the same requirements. They need the same security clearances. It's just a little bit easier to get into these private companies than it is to work directly for the U.S. government. But it's a great bridge to, once you get into these jobs, to then start working directly and have your paycheck signed directly by Uncle Sam.
So, thank you, Alan. So something I want to add to this is, this is a fun fact, actually. So you see these companies right here? You'd find that, so when I was doing my orientation, we had about 80% of people in my orientation were from Raytheon. You know why? So what's happening is these guys are giving out like my sign-on bonus, they're giving out like $20,000. So what happens is someone who worked for Lockheed Martin, and then they'll do a year there, and then they'll go to BAE, get that $20,000 sign-on bonus, and then work for BAE for 6 months, and then go to Raytheon, because it's the same job. We just, doing the same exact thing. We're using the same technologies. So actually, my company now just put a rule in place. You can only go back and forth twice. The second time around, they don't let you in the third time. But they might be breaking that because you know what? Now they're looking for people, because a lot of people that left, they're trying to come back, they can't because they already used the 2 chances. But a lot of people are doing that. They go get the 20K, come back, work for a few months, and then go back and get the 20K. I just got my bonus too. So what we're going to be going into now is the how can we be able to get these jobs? Where are you going to be able to find the jobs? So Alan's going to go into he's going to present. He's going to show you guys again how to navigate USA Jobs. Now, USA Jobs is that source that you guys can go to find government jobs. You can give it a try. You don't have to actually have any certifications. You can just go in there and apply. If you feel like you meet the requirements, you can apply for it. So, Alan, you want to take it away?
Yep, I just want to clarify that my screen is being visible.
I think I have to stop sharing first. Give me a second. Am I still sharing? Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm not sharing. I think Alan, yeah.
I think that looks like Alan now.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. So in the very basics, we won't go into great depth for everything because we need an effort of time. But on here, a majority of the jobs that are posted with the U.S. government are going to be going for a site called usajobs.gov. And it is a government-listed site, hence the abbreviation for Gov. And this is where you can find a majority of the jobs, and they can be done basically from like any other website that you see for job postings. You can do your basic titles. They got jobs for gardeners and all that, but today we're going to be focused on IT support specialist, as this is one of the easiest ones to get into. We can put in just IT support, and it will bring up a list. The key ones for people who do not work actively in the U.S. government will be to click the open to the public, as this is for anybody, not just because people who are enlisted will also apply jobs in here. And this is where they'll have a bunch of listings here. For the time, I did already pick up one that was already that I found, which is just a basic IT support specialist. And like every other job postings, they have their duties, what is expected, what is your expected pay range, 85 to 111. You know, what is requirement of this?
This is just entry level. Barely no skills needed or experience, and it's starting at 85,000, between 85,000 and $111,000. So, and something I want to add before Alan, you go any farther. So, guys, I don't want you guys to. Again, you can still be able to apply for these jobs. Some of them they have a contingency that you could get hired, and then they can give you 6 months for you to be able to get your Security Plus certification. And some jobs too, you don't have to actually have a clearance. They can be able to sponsor your clearance. Especially for this type of job, you can apply for it as long as you have the skill and you're able to get into it. They can sponsor you. Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Yep. So in short, this is just like a standard job posting. You'll have the list of salary, list of positions, and because the U.S. government has a lot of fluff data, but the key points are things like requirements. What are the actual jobs requirements? What is your duties? So for this one, it's a basic IT support specialist, carry out complex assignments, access to the ticketing system, research and validate, provide feedback, which is the same type of positions you'll find at Best Buy's Geek Squad.
Basically nothing. Installing. You guys install software into your own computers, right? Yep. So stuff like that is entry level.
Install, configure, troubleshoot, maintain hardware. That's the basics. 4 bullet points for this job. It's very simple.
When you guys see hardware, they're literally talking about, how can you, maybe you need a new battery pack for your computer, or you need a new RAM. You order for a new RAM stick, and the RAM comes in. Where do you stick it in the computer? Stuff like that. It's pretty easy. Let me go back to my share now. 1 second. All right. Am I live? Can you guys see me?
Yep,
okay.
You are.
All right. So career growth and roles in government. So it's pretty much what we talked about, guys, right? So again, there's a growing demand. And out of that growing demand comes career progression. Increased cyber threats equals what? Increased demand for entry-level positions. You know why? Because as you get into these jobs, now the job that I just started, they're already telling me, hey, we might be bumping you up. We're going to open up your position to someone else. Because now that I'm able to do the job, I'm able to perform, I'm getting promoted. In the position that I'm working in, they're going to open it up to someone else. You know why? Because there's more work. There's more contracts that are being handed out to these government agencies. And the more contract they create, people that are working in positions gets moved up, and now there's open positions. Those positions, they need people to support to put them in. Again, I keep repeating this, our career path and how you guys can easily be able to get to where we're at. Again, this could be for anybody. It could be for people that already work in IT and trying to get into government, or it could be for people that have no skills at all. If you have no skills, IT support is the first thing. Get in there. Look for a job. Go to Indeed. Look for IT support analyst or IT support specialist, government. Keywords, right? Type it in there. If you feel like you can be able to do that job, apply for it. Go in there. Once you get that job and you start working, they're going to sponsor your clearance. Once you get your clearance, now guess what? You have 2 things. You either have to continue going within that path, or go get your Security Plus certificate. We provide that within InfoSec Village. Because that Security Plus certificate is what gets you into government. It's a requirement for any government employee has to have that Security Plus certificate. And that Security Plus certificate is introduction into cybersecurity. It's a course that introduces you to cybersecurity. Now, you have your clearance, and also you have your certificate. You have your clearance, and you also have your Security Plus certificate. 2 things. Now, you know what you're doing? Now you're eyeing for cyber roles that are entry level, meaning more pay. So if you've been working as an IT support analyst making $75,000, in government for your entry-level position. Now you're looking for cybersecurity roles that are starting at 105, 95 to 105, because you have the certificate. The clearance that you could use to bargain, right? So you go in there, you present it. You say, hey, I have two things. I have the requirement to work in government, which is my certificate, and the clearance. How much are you offering? And once you get in there and you start doing the entry-level cyber position, that's it. Now you're doing the real cybersecurity. They're teaching you how to do things. And all these positions are teaching you. Okay? So IT support, security plus certification, your clearance. After that, you can do this literally in less than a year. And then you're on the road to making six figures. It's that simple. It's not that hard. What can get you there, right? So a lot of you guys have free time. Networking, get involved. Within your communities, there's this great app called Meetup. If you could go into your applications and type in Meetup, there's a lot of them. Within your communities, people get together. They're free. They do code challenges. They talk about security. How can you go into cybersecurity? Some of them are studying. There's groups out there that are studying for their security plus certificate. That's if you want to do it on your own. Get involved. We used to do that with Alan, right? If you can see the picture to the farthest, to the right, right? Those are kids who are just getting together and just talking, sharing. If you could do that, guys, you're on the right path. That's going to help you out. Get involved, because you can't really get into it unless you put time. It's easy. It's already been broken down for you guys. We did the hard work for you guys just so you guys can have it easy. And I'm giving you that path. It's that simple, and it could be for anybody. It doesn't matter how old you are. They're looking for anybody because there's a shortage. Okay? So we're coming out to the end. And again, I'm going to go back to what we started with. If you really think cybersecurity is hard, just think about these three things here. Confidentiality, meaning that information is only confidential to yourself or the team that you're supporting. No one else has access to it, just you. And then there's integrity, meaning that it has not been altered. No one else has been able to break into your system to change that information. No one else is going to your bank account and changing the amount of money that you have. So now you guys see what's happening in Uganda right now with all these banks. There's something that's not right. The integrity is not right. Because people in Uganda, you guys have been to the banks here in America. You go to a teller to get money. There's that code you have to enter. There's a key into the keypad. It's only known to you. That's the confidentiality right there. The teller will ask you, hey, Mr. Roberts, can you put in your PIN code? That's being confidential. It's only available. You're the only one who knows that code. But in Uganda, it's not happening. People are sharing, passcodes, and, you go to a teller, they find out what you're entering, and then, before you know it, they're going into your account and stealing your money, and then people are crying that they've stolen their money. But guess what? There's no integrity because they cannot even track who did it. We have the technologies that can be able to tell us who was able to go into your account at what time and who did it with their account, because no one can access that account without using their own account, because they will know. Alan went into my account and changed my balance. So if they're doing any investigations, that's where they start off. Okay, who logged in? Who was the last person to access our account? That's the integrity. And then availability, your money is in your account. So the bank is saying to you, hey, Alan, your money is going to be in your account at any time you need it. It could be at midnight. You could go to an ATM machine, and you could still be able to withdraw and take out your money. It's available at all times. You have a store that you're running. As you're a business owner, you use computers. You have people that shop from your business. Now imagine if those people are not able to access your website. That's affecting the availability of that information. Now, there's technologies that are out there to protect these three things. There's technology to make sure that your information is only known to you. That's authentication, if you guys have heard of it. Before you can access certain account, they're going to send you a code. You're the only one that knows that code. You want to reset your email, they'll send you a code to your backup email. That's confidentiality. There's technology for integrity, meaning that no one else is going to access your data but only you. And there's availability. It will be there at all times, okay? Sorry, guys, it kind of took long, but we just wanted to make sure that you guys pretty much got, the whole concept of what cybersecurity is. Again, how you guys can be able to act, to get jobs in the government, and these jobs are there. Something that, we didn't mention is it's hard to get fired from the government. It's very hard to get fired. So it's one of those jobs that you get for life. And as long as you're a citizen, they actually, what they're doing right now is, they're cutting back. The threshold used to be just U.S. citizens. Now they're taking people with green cards. If you have a green card, you can be able to apply for a cybersecurity job. You go to Indeed and look for any government job, they'll say, do you have a green card or are you a U.S. citizen? Before it was just strictly U.S. citizens, but there's a high demand now and there's good money. Again, this is a profession that you guys can get into and be able to make 6 figures within 2 years or less while you're learning on the job. Okay? Hopefully, Robert gets to bring us back. We'll go into how you guys can make money, being your own business. We started this just as a school. We've been operating as a school, but businesses would call us, hey, can you help us out? Like I didn't tell you guys, but Nate and Alan, these guys are one of the best, I don't want to say hackers, but they're the best ethical, pen testers out there. We used to do this for people for free. We're like, you know what? We can actually turn into a business. Now we're doing it for businesses. We're helping out healthcare agencies that are starting out. These healthcare agencies that are starting out, all Ugandans have these agencies. There's things that they need to have because they're going to be processing patient data. They're processing credit cards. There's compliance regulations they're supposed to abide by. We help them get there. You have to have a dedicated domain server. You're supposed to have a dedicated email server. We help you guys get those email servers, and they help them win contracts as well. Imagine if you're your business and you're trying to get funding from a government. All this, they're gonna ask you for all these things. They give you questionnaires. We help you go through those questionnaires and help you answer and implement whatever they're asking as a business. We just started. We started with healthcare agencies. Now we grow into even enterprise companies. Like, people are looking to do risk assessments. We're measuring risk and impact level. What are those assets that they have? What are those jewels that they have? And what are they trying to protect? You have to understand. What are you trying to protect? How valuable is it to your business? And what's that impact? How long can your business last locked out without any customers? And how much money can you tolerate losing? A lot of people can't answer these questions because they don't know. So these are fields that we're trying to ask you guys to come into. You can start your own businesses. You can be software resellers. A lot of companies are looking for software, like security software. You can resell. You can be that subject matter expert, right? Be able to advise businesses or individuals, schools. It could be anything. It's an open market for everybody, okay? And we want you guys to succeed. We're here to help you guys out. Again, you can check us out at both InfoSec Village. Like down here, you can see we have InfoSec Village Academy and InfoSecVillage.com solutions, okay? Again, we open for questions. If you guys have any questions, we're here to answer questions. Thank you guys. I know it was long, but thank you for staying by, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, please join me in giving them a big round of applause wherever we are. I think they did us such a useful, almost an hour and a half to 2 hours. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, Nasar, with your team. Some of you can see in the background, you can see these 3 guys when I captured them recently in Dallas.
This is our office right here. Again, this is where our school is. It's a very big facility out here in Burlington, Massachusetts. Again, we're gonna start having these maybe over the weekend. Talks to people who want to, maybe more like a talk TED Talk show, but more like into like how can we, encourage our people to get into such positions, opportunities, and maybe we might even have Robert come and visit us one day and host us. I mean, we host him down here. Maybe we can have one with you guys. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. Once again, I ask you guys to give Nasar, Kasirye, and his team a big round of applause. Such valuable information you shared with us today. We went through some questions in the chat. I know Nathan did a great job trying to respond to all of them. And just if you're not watching the chat, a lot of people are saying thank you very much for what you just shared. And as I was saying, if anybody watching my background, they will see you guys in the hall recently in Texas. Thank you again for joining and sharing with the community. We're going to have to do this again and maybe get deeper into the entrepreneurship. How can we start making money? Because there's the Department of Defense and the government actually is always engaging the private sector. And they are even, I believe, carve out some options for minority-owned companies, women-owned companies, and things like that. But we have to organize ourselves and put ourselves in a position where we can actually tap into.
You need some water. You need some water, not just milkshakes.
Yeah. Real quick before
You're gonna get a milkshake.
I wanted someone talking. Please mute. Yeah. I wanted to ask about the club. Can you expand a little bit on the club, InfoSec Village Club? I think you said you have a club and you only have a few members. How does that work? How can one join?
So it's not a club. It's more like it's a school. Okay. But, yeah. So so the school that
let me see who is not
muted. You can try to mute them.
Yeah. Let me first mute everybody, I think.
So as you're muting them, so what we have is we started up an organization, and again we started off as just helping people get the skills that they need, and then we got fully blown. So we started with about eight people. Started with our first class last October. Now we have about 72 students total. And it's a 6-month course. Again, we start them off from IT support. They go into system administration and networking, and then they end up with cybersecurity. Sorry, 7 months. And so the first class that they have, which is entry to IT, and then IT support, all that stuff, is is 2 months. And then once they're done with that class, again, we just specifically covering skills. Then they're able to go do the certification. It's industry recognized certification. And once they're done with that certification, they can actually start applying for jobs as they continue on with their school. Okay. So when they're done with that, they go into networking and system administration. Now, how do you create servers? How do you, services, domain name systems, all that stuff, right? Like basically, the regular system admin, right? Stuff. We teach them that. And then from there, they're going to cybersecurity. And a lot of times we've seen that actually people don't even have to finish the whole entire 7 months. They're getting jobs right away again because they're getting those valuable skills.
Got it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We also, by the way, guys, we also do have a meetup. If you could go into Google and then you type in InfoSec Village. Let me type it in here. InfoSec Village meetup. I think that's what you meant by club, Robert. So if you do InfoSec Village meetup, sometimes we do have these talks on that meetup channel. So yeah, you can find us there too.
Okay. These messages will disappear after the meeting is closed. If you can share it on the technology forum.
Okay, yeah. By the way, we have a WhatsApp group. I'm going to send you the link, Nasar, to join, and you can put that information there. I didn't realize you're not on there, but I'll send you the link so you can join.
Yeah. We'll be more than happy to join you guys. Again, you guys use us as, this is, again, free information because we want to get a lot of you guys in, again, it's very, very easy to get it, to get to where we are right now. Very easy. Like less than 2 years, we've been able to do all these things. Like I told you guys, I've only been in this since 2020.
May you share your LinkedIn as well?
Let me answer some questions.
Yes, I am on LinkedIn, and you can This is how you find me on LinkedIn. Type in my name. So same names, go to LinkedIn, you'll find me there.
Okay. There was a question if you do have online classes.
Yes, we do have online classes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
actually have parents that have kids that they bring into America. They start off with us. By the time they get here, they already have the certificates and actually already they get directly into the workforce. So we have people that are doing classes from Uganda. Funny enough, it's
Do we
only
have discounts for people who sign up today?
we would have to talk about that. Trust me. I tell people anything that you put into this. Someone asked me, I check because we have labs. Where right,
Nazar, you're muted. You're no longer talking.
The audio went off a little there. Yeah, the last. But yeah, as he fixes his audio, I want to thank you again, all of you, for giving us this almost 2 hours of your time to listen to Nasar and his team.
Yeah, I think now you guys can hear me now, right?
Yes, you're back.
Sorry. So what I was saying is, usually I have my fidget machine that I use, but I'm playing around with my headset, so sometimes they disconnect me. What I was saying is, someone came up to me and they're like, "Hey man, I have this job. It's it gives me these are the only hours I could do Saturday." And I told them, I'm like, "Hey man, it all comes with sacrifice. If you can sacrifice Saturday to come and do the lab, the in-person lab, you would be your investments, your invested time will be able to return back to you highly, and it did. This guy gave up a Saturday of which he was doing like 16 hours that day, but he gave it up just to come here, and he's making like $40 right now. He used to work for Walmart, okay, making $17 an hour. He's now making 40 in less than 7 months. So, the money that we actually charge guys is it helps us. We don't really make anything from it. It just helps us facilitate because you guys, you're getting Microsoft accounts. We're giving you guys virtual machines. So a lot of money is returned back towards your education, just so you guys can be able to have the latest technologies. When you guys are doing cybersecurity, we're deploying security scanning systems here. We pay lots of money for those systems. And that's what sets you apart. When you go to these interviews, not only are you able to tell them the technology that you're using to scan systems for vulnerabilities, but you do know that technology and you know how to use it. It's because we provide it. So yeah, we could talk about discounts, but until you hear what we have to offer, I think you'll be happy with the price that we ask for.
All right, great. Thank you.
So may I ask one more question? So let's say if you already have this admin cert through Microsoft, can I just come attend the lab?
Google Microsoft?
No, it's admin cert through Microsoft. Can I just come attend the lab as well?
So are you talking about the security labs?
I have a sysadmin cert already.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So come attend the lab.
So what labs are you looking to attend? Hello? Is it sysadmin labs you're talking about?
Yes.
It sounds like
Yeah.
saying.
You could definitely come, but do you have prior knowledge? Is it just a cert that you have, or do you have any experience or skills with this cert? Because sometimes people get certs, but they don't have the skill and knowledge. So do you have the?
That's why I'm trying to attend the lab. I don't have the skill. I have the knowledge.
You don't have the skill. Yeah. You can. Where do you live? Do you live in Mass?
I live in Nashville.
Yeah. Give us a call. We could be more than happy to, talk over what you have and then see where we can place you. There's an option for you, definitely.
All right.
Any other questions? Alan, I think I think you have the chat, right? In control, right?
Yeah, the chat, I've been looking over it myself. Can you hear me, Nasar?
Yeah. So anybody asking
I've
about
been looking
posting?
over it. Looks like we answered all of them in time.
Nice.
While you're talking, you're presenting, we responded. Alan was responding.
Oh, nice.
So I think we covered all of that. So now we're going to close. Thank you very much once again, guys, for coming. You and your team, Alan, Nasar, and was it Ooh, I don't think I can see the name real quick, but thank you very much.
Nathan Moya.
Nathan, thank you very much. It was nice meeting you guys in Dallas, and thank you again for engaging the community, and there's all that you do in mass, and now you're engaging the wider community. So thank you very much. In closing, I just want to mention that again, because it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, it is important for the community and all of you guys here today to not only think about it, but also tell others that you engage with, the key themes for this year's Cybersecurity Awareness Month is that it's a cybersecurity community, the government agency, CISA, that is in charge of this, wants us to think about this, maintaining strong passwords and also using what we call password managers. Maybe next time, or maybe in another format, we'll be able to expand a little bit on what a password manager is, because most people, first you want to have a strong, complicated password, and then it is difficult to remember. So that's where the password manager comes in. It will help you store that. And the other thing that is very useful is turning on what they call multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
If you don't, it shouldn't be just one way for you to be identified when you go to your banking website or you go in there. If you don't know how to do it, ask somebody or call the support team for your bank or any other website that you use. They will help you turn on, if it is available, what they call multi-factor authentication, meaning that it is another extra step. You will always get that one-time password that be in addition to the password, so that one simply doesn't guess your password and they are into your world, very much. So that's a very useful.
Can I add one more thing? Or can I ask one more thing? Are they still using the 7 key or 9 key now?
Yeah, I mean, you can always, the minimum you don't, I would say what? In 9, the longer the complicated password, the better.
The longer, the most.
I remember it was 7 key, but they're moving towards 9 key now.
They definitely passed the 7 key now,
Yes.
And I tell people, don't even go by what they said. Make it even twice as long,
Right.
You've seen people losing I see people losing it when they lose their social media pages. Like Robert said, right? Again, the authentication, that second check.
Yeah, the second factor.
The second factor, it is very, 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 very important. Whereby if someone gets a hold of your phone, you're done if you don't have two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
The strong passwords. You guys need that.
Password.
Right now, people are losing. People are being, someone can take your phone and you have contacts. They can try to expose you, and people are paying crazy amounts of money. Now, if it's happening in America, what do you think is happening in Uganda?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and the last, the other thing they say that just pay attention. This is what they call phishing these days. Yeah. Somebody impersonates your grandmother or your friend, and they say, "Hey, do ABCD," or they'll send you that email that looks well crafted, that they pretend to be somebody that they know about, and before you know it, they're causing you to expose information that you shouldn't. So let's be vigilant and recognize these phishing activities, because it's going on. If you're not expecting Robert Chigundu to be sending you some sort of email or whatever, if you see something all of a sudden from me, question it.
Mr. Robert Chigundu, just to complement what you're saying, Starbucks, McDonald's, all those, you stay away from all those Wi-Fi connections.
Yes.
Be careful when you're using public Wi-Fi and all of that. And then, very important is that update your software, whether it's on your computer or mostly on the phones. When you use these apps, updates come out, and the update means that some vulnerability, some hole has been discovered and it's been patched by the software vendor. If you're holding onto that phone and you never update anything, or you're on your computer, you never update anything, you're generally exposed. So important to always check if there's an update, apply it, and that way you have the best chance of fending off a bad actor. So with that, I think I'm going to bring it to close. Thank you very much once again for all of you for being here with us, for engaging with the Technology Forum. We come together once every Saturday, every first Saturday of the month. That is our goal, unless some other event causes us to shift, but that is our schedule. Once every first Saturday of the month, we come on Zoom here and we share, engage, and so our goal is to, hey, if the Indian community, for example, if you go in most organizations here in the US, everywhere, you're going to find most of their IT departments are quite heavily engaged or manned by members of the Indian community. How did they get there? They started by doing this kind of work that we're doing. Make ourselves aware and then engage, get ourselves trained, share, and take actions. And before you know it, we'll also have a sizable ecosystem with Ugandans who have skills and are making money and entrepreneurship and transferring skills back in Uganda, and we will be able to solve some of the challenges our country faces, meaning employment, and our people simply don't have jobs. If they really had the jobs, they would be okay. We can form companies here, and as I close, recently in the Ugandan side, the ministry held an event, and they emphasized what they call BPO, business process outsourcing. So on this side, if we organize, we tap into our networks, or those who are around us will see that we organize, they will be able to engage with us and will be able to get jobs for our people here, for our people in Uganda. You start a company here, you hire Ugandans, and they have a good internet connection. Some of them, all they need is the phone, and they can do some functions like even virtual assistant jobs, things like that. So those are the goals that we have as a forum, and we invite the community, those who are leaders, go out there, inform those that follow you, those that can trust you. Let them know that there are opportunities out here, and we have information on a monthly basis that we share, and we bring in different speakers to talk to us about these subjects. So thank you very much for this today. Let me let you go. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Robert, for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.